Ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, shalom, shalom, shalom. It has been a while since I have had an opportunity to sit down with you all as we read through the beautiful book of First Enoch. How are you guys doing? How is everybody out there? It has been a while. Normally I get a couple of these done a week, and it looks like this week I am going to basically get one of these read. We've just got a lot of things going on these days. And I hope you guys are well, and I hope you guys are not hoaxed with the world that we are in right now. We are in definitely what you would probably call the end times. Great evil just happening. Wars, rumors of wars. You got, government takeovers here, and just a very volatile time in our world. And I've said it before, and I'd like to reiterate that there is a peace when it comes to the Torah. There is a peace when it comes to the scriptures. And it's not that the scriptures in of themselves are peaceful, because we hear about wars and rumors of wars and all these other things throughout scriptures. But when you have taken Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, and you have made it a point of your life to where you walk in those scriptures, there's a peace amongst all of this craziness inside of these wars and this system that we are in. And so we don't have any hope for this world that we're in. We don't have any hope for these so-called politicians, and there's no hope out there when it comes to this. Our hope is and always will be in two things: the Torah and our Messiah. And it is in that order, because if you don't have the Torah, our Messiah says, "Depart from me, you who are Torah-less." And so to be qualified to ever have a Messiah that comes to our beckoning aid, well, we can't say that we don't want the laws of his Father. We can't say that the precious, beautiful words that have been given to us, the words of knowledge and the words of life, we can't say that they are nailed to a tree. We can't say they have been forgotten and fulfilled. We can't say that our Messiah came and got rid of them, because it never says that in scriptures. It never says anything like that. So for us to come to that conclusion, then we have to have some kind of outside influences that have told us this. Outside influences that have taught us traditions of men. And it is up to us as Yah's people to dismiss and get rid of things that are not scripturally sound. That's why we have all been given the beautiful scriptures, so that we can test the world we are in. We can test the politicians. We can test the supposed law keepers. We can test how to do things. In the first 5 books of scriptures, we have a guide post for life. Everything that we need, from eating to sanitary workings, to marriages, to raising kids, to raising businesses up, to just walking in the world. It gives us advice for absolutely everything. It tells us things such as we should not be part of the nations. When we see the nations doing nation stuff that is all corrupted, all evil, all satanic, that's what we don't do. When the nations are celebrating a pagan holiday called Saturnalia, even though in your heart you may say, "I'm celebrating Jesus' birth," well, that's yet another hoax, because there were no J's in Hebrew. The letter J didn't even exist until the 1500s. So there's no way a Hebrew man's name would have ever been called that. Those are all traditions of men, things that we have been told. We were told that this guy, Jesus, came and died for all of our sins, so we didn't have to do anything. It's a set and forget. We're told that we can ask Jesus into our hearts and that we are saved, and the salvation can never ever be snapped away from us. But when you actually read the scriptures, it doesn't say anything like that. The entire concept of asking Messiah Yahushua into your heart to be saved, it doesn't exist. Those who are saved are obedient law keepers. Those who are saved are the remnant, the people that find value in the laws, the statutes, and the commandments of our Creator and have chosen to walk this path. There is no better path in this world. 400,000 different religious systems, 40,000 different Christian denominations, and every single one of them are different than what the scriptures say. How can that be? How can we have taken what the scriptures say and then rerouted our GPS to something that is not in scriptures? How can we say that all food has been made clean? How can we say things of that nature when it's not actually in any good translation? These are all traditions of men. Taking the laws of our Creator and tossing them in the trash can and saying they don't apply to you, that's all stuff that has come from man. Somebody, somewhere, probably demonic, has taught us this. And, the people that have taught us this are probably, they don't mean to be demonic, but at the end of time, when you say that the words of our Creator are useless, what do you think that Satan says as well? He doesn't like the laws of our Creator, and he knows the laws of our Creator very, very good. Better than any of us probably ever will. And he's openly chosen to violate them and to walk a different path. A path of darkness. A path of rebellion. A path of trying to become a god down here on earth for all the Satanists who absolutely call him God. The God of the Freemasons is Lucifer. The Freemasonic order is everywhere. And if it's not the Freemasons, then it's the Luciferians. If not the Luciferians, it's all of the people. Then you get into the religious system, and the religious system that has no value on the laws of our Creator, well, you're in the same boat as Satan. So there's no middle ground. There's no left or right. There's just the path that we have been told to take. And our Messiah says over and over, he goes, most people don't make it. The people of the Apocrypha, the Enoch, he says most people don't make it. Ezra says that he got a message from our Creator that a drop of water compared to a wave are the people that make this kingdom walk. So guys, the answer for us is to be this anomaly, to be this little itty bitty set apart group of people that are so much different than the rest of the world, that we love our Creator. And we prove that by our love for his word. And by the love for his word, you will fall in love with our Messiah. Our Messiah, Yahushua, means salvation in Hebrew. Yeshua, Yahushua, that is, there's only one name under heaven by which man may be saved. But yet, we've fallen into this trap of these man-made doctrines, listening to these old preachers that are pulling in 10% of everybody's paychecks, unbiblically, taking tithes. It's funny. It's funny how this religious system is nothing more than just a business. It's funny how you have a Mormon religion and you jump on that Mormon list of, if you want to call yourself a Mormon, and they will literally keep hold of your taxes. Oh, you owe this much. You made $1,500. You owe us $150. They will literally keep track of that. This is what the religious system is all about. It's about making money, which is why you don't find any truth in the religious system. If people were told by these little preachers that are preaching on the wrong day, on a Sunday, the day of the sun, Sol Victus, if they heard things that, you need to keep the laws, the statutes, and commandments, and there's a better way. There's an actual moral, grounded way that we should be going. Well, that doesn't tickle anyone's ears. Everybody wants to eat their pork. Everybody wants to worship on the wrong day. Everybody wants to have this tickle my ear style doctrine, and it's a dangerous doctrine. It's something that doesn't hold any weight when it comes to scriptures, and so men's souls have been corrupted and they're completely toasted because of their walk. And so, guys, as we get into the book of First Enoch, I would like to encourage all of you guys to read your scriptures. This is why Yah Scriptures ministry exists, is so that we can get into your guys' hands as many of the digital versions, as many of the hard copies, as many of these versions that we can. Every digital version that we have out there is free of charge. There have been some amazing brothers that have helped us put together the Apple version. A couple of big hitters that, we are in 178 countries that have now downloaded the Yah Scriptures digital apps, and we're just beginning. It's just beginning. We have lapped our book, the big blue that's in front of you, the limited edition print. It has been lapped with the digital versions. People are loving it. They literally love this book, and it is a great book. Because when we fall in love with the scriptures, we're falling in love with our Creator. We're falling in love with the future and the world to come. And the world to come isn't this darkness that we live in right now where everybody is doing their own thing and doing what's right in their own eyes and living their best life now. That's not what this is going to be about. So for right now, everybody, you guys can still grab the limited edition print. It is available at yahscriptures.com. It is a big blue. There's like 500 and some copies left. It is beautiful. It is a big, beautiful book. And grab it while you can. We also are able to get scriptures into brothers and sisters in chains. Because of this, we have been able to deliver a tremendous amount of scriptures in. We have a huge list of all the scriptures that when we have the little paperbacks, the paperback should be here in less than 2 weeks. Before the end of August, we should have all of your guys' orders shipped out to you guys. Thank you, everybody, for being patient. Thank you, everybody, for being so kind as we get that very first scriptures out. And that will actually give us a much better targeting system to get these in the prisons. And as much as Big Blue has been accepted in a lot of prisons, there's certain prison systems we can't even get it into. We can't get it in Arkansas, completely denied. Several major prison systems are just like, well, this book's too big. These people are going to kill you or kill somebody with this book. And I understand. It is a large book. It's 7 pounds. It is large print. There's never been a book like it, and there never, ever will be. So, guys, if you want to get this limited edition print while we still have them, we don't know what the future is going to bring. We don't know what Yah is going to do for the next version of this, if we do another Big Blue, or what it's going to look like. So, guys, get it while you can. Now, let's get into the book of First Enoch. And if you've never, ever read the book of First Enoch, I'm going to give you a recap to chapter 67, which is where we are at right now. So, guys, chapters 1 through 5, the judgment of Yahuwah is coming. And the words of Enoch, a blessing to the righteous who walk in righteousness and do not turn away from the path of Yahuwah. So this is what we want to be, right? Righteousness. What does it mean to be righteous in scriptures? It's the same thing that people, when they say we don't want to be sinners, but yet they don't have any type of doctrine. Right? You don't know what sin is unless we read the Torah, unless we have the Torah and write the Torah on our hearts, minds, and souls. So to be a righteous person, that means we're walking a sinless life. It doesn't mean we don't sin. It means that we are aware of what sin is, and we are doing everything in our possible power to align our lives so that we are not sinners, so that we are... When we make these mistakes, when we fall into sin, when we have a corrupt thought, when something has entered into our temple we should not, we repent, right? We repent and we don't continue on. That's what it's about. It's about aligning our lives to the kingdom road. And the kingdom road is a road of righteousness. Continuing on. Behold, Yahuwah shall come with 10,000s of his Kodesh ones to execute judgment upon all, to destroy the wicked and convict sinners of their works. The earth, the mountains, the seas, and all creation bear witness to his works. Therefore the righteous shall inherit peace, but the wicked shall be destroyed off the face of the earth. Now, chapters 6 through 16 is, in the days of Jared, the watchers, led by Shemiazah, descended upon Mount Kerman and took wives from the daughters of men. They taught mankind sorcery, enchantments, the dividing of roots, the making of weapons, the adorning of the face, and the observation of the stars. Giants, Nephilim, Eliab were born mighty and violent and consuming all that men possessed and even devouring mankind. Men were crying out. These things were eating them. They got so big. We're talking one generation after the next generation after the next, each getting bigger and bigger and bigger until you could put the giant pyramids up as Tinker Toys, as Legos, as one giant was able to just lift this giant thing up there. Nobody could figure it out, right? Because we're all about 5 foot, 6 foot people out here. So we've lost history, right? They've hidden all this stuff from us. They've hid the book of Enoch from us. This is why we're reading this book, to bring all this stuff back. The earth cried out to the Shamaim and the Kodesh messengers. Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, and Uriel brought the matter before Yahuwah. Judgment was pronounced. It was to bind the leaders of the watchers, destroy their offspring in the flood, and cast them into the abyss until the great day of judgment. Canuck was sent to declare to the watchers that no shalom, no peace, nor forgiveness would be theirs. Chapters 17 through 36, Canuck's first vision. Canuck is taken by the messengers to the ends of the earth, where he sees the treasuries of the winds, snow, hail, and rain. He beholds the prison of the fallen messengers and the place of punishment for the stars that transgress their orders. He is shown the garden of righteousness, the tree of life, the mountain of the throne of Elohim, and the rivers flowing from it. He sees the divisions of Sheol, places prepared for the righteous, the sinners, and those who are judged until the day of great separation. Chapters 37 through 44 is the first parable. It has a vision of the end, the habitation of the Kodesh ones, and the destruction of the kings and mighty who have oppressed the righteous. The elect one is revealed, he who was with Yahuwah before the creation of the world, to judge the secret works of men. Wisdom departs from sinners. Only those who love righteousness shall dwell in the light. Now, chapters 45 through 57 is the second parable. The son of Adam, Messiah Yahushua, is seated on the throne of esteem. Before him, the king of the earth fall in shame. The kings of the earth will fall in shame. The righteous and the chosen are gathered to dwell with him forever, while the wicked are driven from the presence of the Kodesh one. The earth is shaken, mountains melt, and seas roar in the day of his might. Armies of sinners make war, but are consumed by the power of the Shamaim. Same reiteration of the book of 2nd Ezra. We hear where Messiah Yahushua comes and just trashes these people. No weapon formed against him is able to prosper. Now, chapters 58 through 67. It's the third parable. We'll be in that. We'll be reading into the third parable today. The righteous are clothed in garments of esteem and are gathered with the messengers in shalom. Canuck sees the place of the elect ones in the deep valley of fire for the punishment of the wicked. The coming flood is foretold. Waters from above and below shall cleanse the earth of all corruption. The watchers who led astray mankind are bound in the valleys of judgment until the day of fire. Rulers and mighty ones who oppress the righteous are brought low and given over to the pit. Michael is appointed to open the storehouses of water in the days of Noach, that the world be purified. There you are, folks. That is a catch-up of this. This takes us into the Big Blue Book made digital, which is right here. This is an absolute free download. Guys, just go to your Apple store or go to your Android store and just type in 2 words, Yah Scriptures, YAHSCRIPTURES. Pop that in there, and this is absolutely free of charge. This is a It doesn't take any internet access. There's no reporting on anything that is there. It is built for the remnant. It is built for those of you guys out there who love to read the restored names of our Creator's name, Creator's Son's name, and all of the beautiful Apocrypha. And so you have 103 books, including right here, all the Torah commands that we can do today. And so there's everything that is there today. You have all of these books right here. You have the Old Testament and New Testament, and you have the Apocrypha. And that is what we are into today, is the beautiful Apocrypha. Okay, starting off, Enoch 68. And we're still in the third parable, but it's going to start bouncing around. It's going to start getting into some heavy meat and potatoes as we read through this. 68:1. And after that, my grandfather Canuck gave me the teaching of all the secrets in the book, in the parables, which had been given to him. And he put them together for me in the words of the book of the parables. And on that day, Michael answered Raphael and said, the power of the Spirit transports and makes me tremble because of the severity of the judgment of the secrets, the judgment of the messengers. Who can endure the severe judgment which has been executed, and before which they melt away? And Michael answered again and said to Raphael, who is he whose heart is not softened concerning it, and whose kidneys are not troubled by this word of judgment gone forth upon them because of those who have thus led them out? And it came to be, when he stood before Yahuwah of hosts, Michael said thus to Raphael, I will not take their part under the eye of Yahuwah, for Yahuwah of hosts has been angry with them because they do as if they were Yahuwah. Therefore all that is hidden shall come upon them forever and ever. For neither messenger nor man shall have his portion, but alone they have received their judgment forever and ever. And after this judgment they shall terrify and make them to tremble, because they have shown this to those who dwell on the earth. And see, the names of those messengers, and these are their names. The first of them is Shemiatza, the second Artachikifa, and the third Armin, the fourth Kokavavel, the fifth Turiel, the sixth Rumyael, the seventh Daniel, the eighth Nekiel, the ninth Barikiel, the 10th Azael, the 11th Armoraus, the 12th Badariael, the 13th Busiael, the 14th Kaniel, the 15th Turiel, the 16th Semapsiel, the 17th Yetriel, the 18th Tumael, the 19th Suriel, the 20th Ramiel, the 21st Azazel. And these are the chiefs of their messengers and their names and their chief ones, over hundreds and over 50s and over 10s. This is the leadership. This is the leadership of the fallen. The name of the first, Yekon, that is, the one who led astray the sons of Elohim and brought them down to the earth and led them astray through the daughters of men. And the second was named Asbiel, and he imparted to the Kodesh sons of Elohim evil counsel, and they led them astray, so they defiled their bodies with the daughters of men. And the third was named Gadriel. It is he who showed the children of men all the smitings of death. And he led astray Kawa, and showed the shield and the coat of mail and the sword for battle and all the weapons of death to the children of men. This is an interesting piece that we get in this, right? And led astray Kawa. This is the wife of Adam. Eve, as you know, the other scriptures call him, but is Kawa, right? So this guy, you know, when we hear about the serpent, or we hear about whatever possessed the serpent, whatever it was that was in the form of the serpent that was taking Eve to school, it was this dude, Gadriel. And it's interesting because he showed the children of men all the smitings of death, right? Probably death kills, breaking necks, things, how to kill people efficiently. And he seems like a warrior kind of guy. Showed him the shield, the coat of mail, sword for battle, weapons of death. And from his hand they have proceeded against those who dwell on the earth from that day and for eternity. And the fourth name was Pin Emiel. He taught the children of men the bitter and the sweet, and he taught them all the secrets of their wisdom. 1 second. All right. T. Reminds me of Torah Time T. Pam. She has a great channel, guys. You guys should check that out. 9. This guy. And he instructed mankind in writing with ink and paper, and thereby many sinned from everlasting to everlasting and until this day. So something else to kind of glean from this whole thing is that I guess we were never supposed to write. We were never ever supposed. It was never ever supposed to be like it was. That we have been able to write, because there's not just good that's written down. There's just not history. It's just not scriptures. But all the incantations, all the Aleister Crowley people, all of this witchcraft, all of this stuff, right? They have books of spells. They've written it all down, and that's what get passed down, right? These Satanists pass this stuff down, and they have all these secret words. They conjure up all this stuff. It's a lot of what spelling is like. When you look at the alphabet of the Hebrew language, it's very, very fascinating, because it's all the rest of us are out there spelling words. We put words together and we spell them, whereas the Hebrew language, the original Paleo Hebrew, was all little pictograms, and from the pictograms you put together words. And so this is why it is incredible. The ancient Hebrew, the Paleo Hebrew style Hebrew, it was amazing. And they've gone to current Hebrew, and it some of the letters don't look quite like the other ones do. They kind of do, but the Paleo Hebrew is beautiful. And that's what Yah Scriptures is in, right? When you see the name of Yahuwah, when you see the name of Yahushua, it is Paleo Hebrew. And there's so many different arguments on the how do you say it, and what is the right way to say it. Some of these questions we won't have answered until we have a Messiah amongst us in the leadership that can tell us exactly how it's pronounced, or what does it Yeshua, is it Yahushua? People are like, oh, the Shua is satanic, and I don't find that. I haven't been able to find that when we say it. So I say Yahushua. I know lots of people say Yeshua, Yahshua. So I'm not throwing sticks at anybody on this. 10. For men were not created for such a purpose, to give confirmation to their good belief with pen and ink. For men were created exactly like the messengers, to the intent that they should continue pure and righteous. And death, which destroys all matters, could not have taken hold of them. But through this, their knowledge, they are perishing. And through this power, it is consuming me. And the 5th was named Kasdiah. This is he who showed the children of men all the wicked smiting of spirits and demons, and the smiting of the embryo in the womb, that it may pass away, and the bites of the serpent, and the smiting which befalls through the noontide heat. The son of the serpent named Tavet. Now this guy seemed a little demonic, right? You have Kasdiah. So this is the first abortion that we hear about, right? And we live in a society now that everybody's become numb to abortions, right? You have this demonic entity called Planned Parenthood, and these people have they were busted selling off baby parts and doing all this. One of the main reasons we left the United States is because I wasn't going to pay my tax money, because they would not defund Planned Parenthood at the time. And so I was like, you know what? This blood will probably fall on my hands. Whether or not I want to, this is what my taxpayer money goes to. So you have this dude, Kasdiah, the very first Planned Parenthood, that was literally, how crazy is it? Planned Parenthood, right? Oh, we're not ready to be parents. Let's kill off the kids. Crazy world we live in, right? We're offering up our children to Moloch, right? We have a commandment that is, do not give your kids to Moloch. There is a stainless steel strapped in system where they're grinding the babies out, burning them out. And these little babies, I posted a video on this main channel that showed, a sperm and an egg hitting, and the entire setup being a wash. And these little babies are sucking their thumbs at like weeks old, and the ears are developing. They sit and they hear and they listen. They listen to stories. They know all this stuff, right? They scream. I remember there's an abortion video called The Silent Scream, and they're not just grinding these babies to death. They're ripping them to shreds, and these babies are crying. These babies are crying, and we just live in a, you can go to abortioncounter.com, or it's one of those sites that it keeps track of all the abortions worldwide, and it's sick. Man, we are just a sick world anymore. And it's commercialized, right? It makes a lot of money. All these people with the dead babies, they want the dead babies for their placentas, for their embryonic fluids, for all of these pieces, right? They sell the baby's eyes, and they sell the baby's heart, and they sell it's all to the name of science, right? All these sorcerers that are out there that are doing this great evil. 13. And this is the task of Casbiel, the chief of the oath, which he showed to the Kodeshim when he dwelt high above in esteem. And his name is Bika. This one requested Michael to show him the hidden name, that he might produce it in the oath, so that those might quake before that name and oath who revealed all that was in the secret of the children of men. But name of this, we don't know, I don't think. And this is the power of this oath, for it is powerful and strong. And he placed this oath, Achiel, in the hand of Michael. And these are the secrets of this oath, and they are strong through this oath, through his oath. And the Shamaim was suspended before the world created and forever. Interesting, right? More of this kind of a flat earthish style where we ain't spinning around on a big ball like we've been told, because we have the Shamaim that was suspended before the world created and forever. And through it, the earth founded upon the water, and from the secret recesses of the mountains come pleasant waters, from the creation of the world and unto forever. And through that oath, the sea was created. And as its foundation, he appointed for the sand against the time of anger. And it dare not pass beyond it from the creation of the world until forever. And through that oath are the depths made firm and endure and do not move from their place from everlasting to everlasting. So that's one thing that is very common in scriptures, is that we hear about the foundations of the earth that are unmovable, unshakable. They don't move, right? And here we hear about the depths, they're made firm and endure and do not move from their place from everlasting to everlasting. Well, how can this be? When NASA says that we're spinning 1,000 miles an hour one way, and then we're hurling 1,000 miles an hour around the sun another way. I saw a video this morning on 153news.net. And it was a guy on, I don't know if you guys remember the Gravitrons, or have ever been in one, but I remember them as a kid. It's just like, it looks like a giant spaceship thing. And they all put you in there, and there's, probably like 60 people in that thing. And it starts spinning around, and it starts going like super fast. And inside of it, you feel like you're just like zooming. And the chairs, you're leaning on this little wall thing, and they have sliders, and they go up. And as it goes up faster and faster and faster, your chair starts going up. All of a sudden, it's hard to move your hands up. It is hard to move around. And, we're only going like 50, 60 miles an hour around in a circle. Now, they have the earth going 1,000 miles an hour, but then they give us this little magical word called gravity. And the gravity, instead of you being pulled away like the gravitron and the stuff that we can observe with our eyes, we're stuck to the earth, right? But you have bees and you have hummingbirds and you have things that somehow defy this gravity. But if we didn't have this magical gravity, then we'd all float off the plane, right? All of us would go. And this same gravity holds oceans on and holds all this stuff on. And, the one thing that I'm always talking to my brothers on 153news.net, because there's some ballers. There's definitely some ballers. And they are old people that are astute, that have been completely hoaxed. And they will fight tooth and nail all the way that their indoctrination just flares up. And, my entire life was installing internet access. I would sit on mountaintop to mountaintop. And the one thing that we never, ever, ever had to do was to find the curve of every shot. We spent time where I would be on a mountaintop and another tech was on a mountaintop 100 miles away, same elevation, and we were able to sustain a wireless link. Now, if there was a thing called curvature that they say, which is like 8 inches per mile squared or something of the sort, some crazy Freemason mathematician there would have been over a mile of curve. Everything that we knew wouldn't work as we think. TVs wouldn't work well, cell phones wouldn't work well, because everything would be hitting rocks, and wireless waves do not go through rocks very well, especially the frequencies we use. Now you can go lower frequencies, much, much lower, and go through rocks, but those things are for testing, right? They have those to see how far down you can go. They're not meant to make a communication link. So I can't find the curve. It just does not exist. But yet those who are indoctrinated are like, oh, we live on this ball. But it doesn't make any sense, right? None of this makes any sense. And I'm sorry if I offend any of you ballers out there. Once you go flat, you just don't go back. It takes a little bit of research, and everything we've been told is a lie. 20. And through that oath, the sun and moon complete their course and deviate not from their ordinance from everlasting to everlasting. And through that oath, the stars complete their course, and he calls them by their names, and they answer him from everlasting to everlasting. So we know the stars are like things, right? The stars will answer our Creator. Isn't that amazing? And we know, the sun and the moon and the stars are there for all eternity. They're there, well, not all eternity, until our Creator has them not go on their course. And several things are, sometimes we've seen falling stars, or what people think are falling stars. And, inside of the Apocrypha, it talks very clearly about demons, that those things are like falling, or they're done. It's game over for them. And we're just seeing things fall out of there. But, it says in Enoch as well that some of the stars that are in captivity violated their the navigation. And that's one of the things that, if we were going 1,000 miles an hour around, 1,000 miles around the sun, just blowing through an endless black hole, the stars that you see consistently every day, every year, every month, time after time, they would disappear. They would be gone, right? You're not going to be sitting in this whole thing. It's stationary. It's firm. And that's the big hoax, right? That's why NASA they get $60 million of U.S. taxpayer money every single day to hoax the people. That's why you have shills like Elon Musk running up there. And it's easy enough to bounce signals off of the dome. And again, we had a huge discussion on 153 News just the other day about satellites. I say satellites don't exist. When you do a picture, do a Google search for any satellite, all you have is cartoons and renders. You never see anything real. So according to their calculations, there's 12,000 satellites above your heads at all times. But nobody's ever seen one fall down. No one's ever seen one crash. No one ever sees a part of it. Nobody sees anything of it. And the only answers they have are, they'll burn up. They burn up when they're coming down. And, none of that makes sense. None of that makes any sense whatsoever. So the remnant, we need to open our eyes. We need to not be hoaxed. We need to make sure that we can see through the smoke screens that they are sending our way. 22. And in the same way, the spirits of the water and of the winds and of all the breezes and the paths from all the quarters of the winds. And there are preserved the voices of the thunder and the light of lightnings. And there are preserved the chambers of the hail and the chambers of the hoarfrost and the chambers of the mist and the chambers of the rain and the dew. And all these believe and give thanks before Yahuwah of hosts and praise with all their power. And their food is in every act of thanksgiving. And they thank and esteem and exalt the name of Yahuwah of hosts forever and ever. And this oath is mighty over them, and through it they are preserved, and their paths are preserved, and their course is not destroyed. And there was great joy amongst them, and they blessed and esteemed and exalted the name of the son of Adam. The Ben of Adam had been revealed unto them. And he sat on the throne of his esteem, and the sum of judgment was given unto the Ben of Adam. And he caused the sinners to pass away and be destroyed from off the face of the earth, and those who have led the world astray. With chains they shall be bound, and in their assemblage place of destruction shall they be imprisoned, and all their works vanish from the face of the earth. And from here on there shall be none corruptible, for the Ben of Adam has appeared, and has seated himself on the throne of his esteem. And all evil shall pass away before his face. And the word of the Ben of Adam shall go forth and be strong before Yahuwah of hosts. This is the third parable of Canuck. And I think this is a good stopping spot for all of us onto this. So this was a fine ending for all the three parables that we just had. We learned a lot in these little parables. Enoch was definitely a blessed man. He was somebody who had the baraka of our Creator, somebody who had enormous amounts of faith, an unwavering soul. And, that's what these end times are all about. Finding more unwavering souls, finding those who are loyal to our Creator, those who are willing to not bend a knee to the dark ones. And sometimes it's going to get a little crazy. There's stuff going off in China right now that started with this whole one hoax thing that we all know about. And you always got to keep your eyes on these things, because you know that everyone out there is trying to corrupt the temple of Yah. And the temple of Yahuwah is all of us. It is something that all of us are supposed to not become corruptible. We're not supposed to become evil. And so it is a work to work on ourselves. And when you say that all laws are nailed to the cross, or they don't matter, blah, 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 you're never going to find that kingdom road. You're never going to find anything other than your best life now. And you better make it your best life now, because there will be a time of reckoning. There will be a time you breathe your last breath. There will be a time of judgment. And if we're not ready, it's over. There's no second chances. There's no coming back, right? Everybody thinks they can come back. There's an entire religious system that thinks you just come back. You didn't do it right, you'll just come back the next time. It doesn't happen like that. Nowhere in Scriptures does it say anything like that. So there's a spot for those in darkness, and there's a spot for those who are seeking our Creator in the light. So I hope you guys are praying, seeking Yah where He's able to be found. I hope you guys are reading your Scriptures. Thank you to everybody who supported us. Thank you to everybody who supported this channel. Much love to all of you. Shalom. Shalom.